everyone, so I'm going to start this video talking about Harry Potter because I'm a millennial, so that's just, it's what springs to mind. It's like there was this pivotal scene, right, where Harry Potter is with Dumbledore and the Sorting Hat that like puts all the children into their various houses, you know, their wizarding houses based on, you know, their skills as people, their talents, their innate gifts. And when Harry went to be sorted, he sat there thinking, not Slytherin, not Slytherin, not Slytherin, which according to Pottermore is my house, so lets you know some things about me. But like, yeah, he sits there thinking that, and the hat puts him into Gryffindor. But he finds out in this scene that the hat felt he was meant for Slytherin. So he's sitting there like, what, dumbfounded, and he's like looking to Dumbledore for, you know, guidance about this. Like, why was I placed into Gryffindor if I was meant for Slytherin? And so Dumbledore, being a wise old wizard who understands things, you know, on a very deep level, tells him, you know, it is not our gifts who make us who we are. It is our choices. And I kind of want to use that to kind of springboard into talking about my radical feminist philosophy and why I diverge from maybe the mainstream of what is considered rad femme thought. Although, I don't know, we'll get into that. I don't even identify as a rad femme. I'm a radical feminist. The reason I don't identify as a rad femme specifically is because I feel that it's a dumbing down of language, for one. You know, I feel that using the full words is important because I think it also conveys a seriousness about myself as well as the politic. It's not cute. It's not a hashtag. It's not there to be branded as something, you know, where you fucking have a hashtag and people are reblogging shit that just is like, oh yeah, this fits my aesthetic. It's not that. No. And there's a big push, you know, lately and over the past few years I've seen to turn radical politics into some kind of brand, radical feminist or otherwise, as if like it's cool, it's trendy. I'm not about that, okay? I don't ever want to be mainstream. And I'll tell you what, radical feminism will never be mainstream, and that's okay. It shouldn't be. And I'll tell you why for that as well. It shouldn't be mainstream because it's not meant to be, for one, but also like mainstream people don't get it. You have to dumb it down for them to understand it. I don't want to dumb shit down. That's not what this channel is about. That's not what my politics are about. It's not what I'm here to promote. I'm here to promote deep fucking thought. So yeah, like, I just can't get with that. I can't get with that dumbing down of radical feminism and parasitism. I feel that, you know, gutting of it, just getting out all the best parts, because there are no best parts. It's all good. It's all enlightening. It's all empowering. It's all deep. It all needs to be like dealt with. So yeah, I don't identify as a rad femme specifically, and I don't like a lot of that stuff because I feel like it's just contributing to a culture that is very trendy and not very deep, you know, and radical feminism is deep, you know. I don't want to interact with people who are very surface in this way, you know. And the thing is, you know, radicals in general, they're not normal people. And that, I feel like, is the other thing. Like, we're not palatable to the mainstream. We shouldn't be. You know, as much as I love it when my videos get a lot of views, I also hate it because I'm inundated with a lot of normal people who don't get me, who think I'm a fucking weirdo, and like aren't gonna get anything of value out of what I'm saying because they're not deep enough. And I'm not saying this like, oh, I'm so much better than them. I'm sure their lives are like probably a lot better than mine. Being deep is not a fucking like good thing, you know. I wish sometimes that like I didn't have that. Well, I don't know, I don't want to say that. I just understand that my life would be better if I didn't think about things the way I do. But I do. It is what it is, you know. Radicals are meant to be people who are on the fringes, you know. And if you're attracted to radical politics, if you're attracted to extremist fucking political views, you're not a normal person. Just deal with it. There's something different about you that made you come here and like view this video. There's something different about you that like makes you attracted to these things. You know, the people who generally interact with and watch my videos or any of the content that I put out, like when I was vlogging, anything else, like they're not normal people. They're different. These women specifically are not your average woman. They're on another level, you know, and that's what we want. Because the purpose of radicals, you know, I've gotten into this again, you know, it keeps coming up, but like, we're not there to be mainstream. We're not there to be like what's trendy. We're not there for that. Although I think people like see that oftentimes we're really cool people, you know, so they like want to take the best bits off of us to like, you know, create an image for themselves because they don't have it within themselves to create that, which is sad, but you know, they could. I'm not saying they don't have it within themselves. They don't know their power. They've forgotten it. So they have to steal and appropriate it from other people. But whole other video. You know, our goal and our whole point as radicals is not to necessarily be the mainstream. You know, we're not going to be. We're there to push things in the direction they need to go. We're there to push things further. We're there to ask for more. We're there to have a vision. We're there to like provide vision and dreams. We're the dreamers. We're the revolutionaries. We're the ones who know what transformations are possible within human beings as individuals and as a society, because we've done the changes ourselves. We've been through those transformations. We know what is possible within us. And, you know, we're there to provide that for others. You know, we are here to help spin the dream web and to get people to see what's really possible. So yeah, we're not meant to be in the mainstream of things. You know, if we pop in, we have to pop back out. You know, we're not meant to be there all the time. We're there to push. We're there to push things further. We're there to pull them in the direction that they need to go, you know, ultimately. We're the visionaries. So, you know, you're just this mainstreaming of it and trying to make it trendy, trying to make it cool, trying to make it this thing like, don't do it. Don't do it. And it just goes also along with this idea that some feminists have that they're gonna like kickstart the women's movement again. How can we kickstart it? You can't. You can't kickstart a women's movement. It's an organic thing. It will happen in its own time. And it will happen because it's inevitable, you know. We still have work to do as a group of people. We have a lot of work to do. So women will rise again and again, time after time. But you can't make that happen. It has to happen on its own. So yeah, I don't get into that sort of stuff. And I find it really like counter to what I'm about here. And, you know, what I also am concerned with is, you know, what can we do to support and to further the, you know, empowerment, betterment of the lives of women who are the most marginalized. You know, the women who are always forgotten, the women who don't get to, like, be in the mainstream of things ever. Like, what are we doing with our focus to make them rise? You know, because where your attention goes, energy flows, man. Big lesson to learn. So, you know, there's just this resistance in, like, mainstream radical feminism or mainstream rad fem thought to focusing on marginalized women's issues. And I think that's really bad. You know, I'm just going to use the example of women of color. I have seen time and time again, even though the majority of radical feminists are women who face multiple oppressions, there's no denying that. Like, the majority of radical feminists are not middle-class, white, heterosexual women. But you wouldn't know that because their voices are the loudest. As with all things, the people with the most privilege, within any movement, with any group of people whatsoever, the people with the most privilege always are heard the most. They're always given the most support. They're always listened to the most. They're always backing each other up too and supporting each other and not really helping anyone else. Like, it's just the case. Just you know, for example, this channel does not get a lot of support. And it could be because I'm just not liked, or it could be because I don't fit in with what needs to be put forward, you know. I look a little weird. I do things a little bit differently. I'm not palatable to, you know, women who are, you know, white, heterosexual, you know, middle class mothers. Like, I just don't vibe with that, right? That's not gonna be appealing to that. So I don't get the support that maybe, you know, other women who would have, like, a thing like this would get. It's just been the case. And I'm not here to complain about that really, because I don't want it. I really don't want it. But it's been pretty obvious that that's what was going on. Like, it was about keeping everything fucking the same. Keeping everything kind of like just the same bland type of thing. And I just am not, no. I'm glad I don't fit in with that. But, yeah, within all groups of people, like, it's always the most privileged that get the most attention and focus. And when you turn your focus elsewhere, it's seen as an attack. Even if it's not. You know, and I've seen how within, like, specifically, you know, radical feminist communities, or rad fem ones, very much, you know, women of color specifically are treated with mistrust. Right off the bat, every fucking time. It's always like the same courtesy that's extended to, like, new women who are white would never be extended to women of color, because women of color, that's always like, ooh, when's she gonna bring up the race thing? When is that gonna come up? Ooh, what's her solidarity like? Is she more focused on this? Like, when is she gonna be, like, misogynistic towards white women for, I don't know, like, not enjoying being treated like an inferior? That's the thing. Like, we need to, as feminists, especially feminists who have privilege in some areas, you have to work on extending sisterhood and, you know, equality towards other women. Like, that's big. And the thing is, men have used the fact that women are not on the same level playing field. Let's just get this right off the bat. Because women are like, my video about Melania Trump, for example, getting a lot of shit for it. Not necessarily on the video, but like on Facebook, getting a lot of hate there. And yes, I'm getting hate. I'm not getting like disagreement. I'm getting fucking smug, asshole-ish hate. Like, just there. But like, with that, this is the case of like, because feminists, understand that all women, regardless of, what other impressions we have, are all under male rule. We need to somehow interpret all women's choices and lives the same way. Even though some women have way more options than others because of their privilege and status. That's not sane. And that shit is what men use to divide women. That's what they traditionally use. Women with more status and privilege have let that happen. Instead of, not going along with it, they've wanted to maintain their status. So that means, like, women who are more marginalized have always had to, like, basically either suck it up and deal with it, or say, peace, I'm not going to deal with it, which is a lot of the time, now that's the case, like, women don't want to deal with that shit anymore. Like, how many times do the same patterns need to repeat before women just say no? And I think that's happening a lot now within feminism itself. Like, a lot of women of color are just saying no. I'm not going to put up with being treated like I'm your inferior. I'm not, and, that should be the case for all marginalized women, Specifically, I've seen for myself a lot of, like, for me, it's been a lot of classes stuff, but I don't really want to get into my own personal, like, things with this video. I'm just talking kind of philosophy here, but, like, that inequality exists between women. And that has to be acknowledged, and so anyway, go back to this Melania Trump business, right? Women were sharing on Facebook, like, there's this photo of her on the cover of Mexican Vanity Fair where she's, like, eating a bowl of, like, expensive jewelry dripping with diamonds and all sorts of finery. And I'm just, like, thinking, this woman is married to a man who has spent the past 2 years demonizing impoverished Mexican people, right? And here she is on the cover of this magazine in Mexico, flaunting her fucking status and wealth. And let's just be clear, she's an immigrant herself. She's an immigrant who had dodgy fucking immigration stuff too. So that's whose side she's on. She's made her choice. She is willing to endure whatever bullshit from him, which I don't think there's much evidence for this, again, like, idea that she's a victim of domestic violence, but whatever. Like, let's just say she was. She has options. She has more options than pretty much any domestic violence victim in the world has. She has more. And, if a woman in that situation is choosing to still ally herself with male power and privilege and wealth and status, and basically saying fuck you to the impoverished people of Mexico who've had to, like, migrate for work to the U.S., for highly exploited work to the U.S., in order to better their lives, because this is, this is where they can do it. Like, you're really going to focus on her? Is that really going to be where you're putting your focus? But yeah, according to the, like, fucked up logic of a lot of women, like, we're all under patriarchy's boots. Yeah, we are. But there is such a thing as collaboration when you're dealing with, like, I don't know, war. when you're dealing with like situations. Like, there are people who work for the other side. There are women who work for the other side. There are women who will die for the other side. They will fucking lay down their lives to support male power. Do not worry about them. It's not where your focus should be. You know, I was just thinking about it too, because I saw the other day, like, since making that video, there's a woman in my, like, apartment complex who is in an abusive relationship, like, with a guy who beats her. And I know this because I've seen her black eye. Specifically, though, that could have happened for other reasons. I know it was him because I was in the elevator with them. You know, I got into the elevator, they're in it already, and it's quiet, and I'm like, okay, you know, whatever. But then it got really tense all of a sudden, and he's like over her, like whispering all this like shit about how she needs to just, how she deserves what she gets, and like just like how she, you know, basically brings stuff on herself, and like she needs to listen to what he says and do what he says and that crap. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. He gets off the elevator before her. He was like over her. I didn't see her face at the time, and she's got a black eye when I see her, and she's so embarrassed that she says to me that she's sorry because it was such an uncomfortable situation. And I'm just immediately like, it's okay, you know. And I'm just thinking, I told her, yeah, it was okay, and I asked her, you know, if she needed anything or if there was anything I could do for her, and she said, no, it's okay. Because she doesn't know what her options are. You know, a lot of times women don't know what their options are, but like, you can be damn sure that Melania Trump does. But yeah, I was just thinking, like, she probably has very few options, this woman. You know, I saw her the other day, and she, you know, she doesn't have a black eye right now, but, you know, it doesn't really matter. Like, she's living in, like, low-income housing. She's, like, attached to this guy. She's probably got, like, not very many options. So, you know, I understand why a woman like that might stay in a situation, because she doesn't know how to leave. She probably would be worse off if she wasn't attached to a man, obviously, in her position, because she's, like, probably over 30 years older than me, you know. Who knows what her health issues are? Who knows what any of that is? Her family situation, you know. I'm just thinking, like, my mind running with this stuff, right? Would you put her and the First Lady of the United States on the same, like, level playing field and saying, oh, they're both under male rule? Well, yeah, that's true. It's not really true, is it? Like, there's other circumstances. There's more options available to one of them, you know? It's just, yeah, that sort of stuff just is always really kind of, it's never sat right for me. And, you know, back to the beginning of the video, even in the most dire situations, women resist. And we don't celebrate that resistance enough. You know, it's so often brought up by, like, these, I have trouble even thinking of them as feminists, but, like, these pseudo-radicals saying, you know, like, comparing the situation of, you know, us to child slaves, female child slaves and shit. And the thing is, those little girls would run if they could. Like, you think they wouldn't be out of there in an instant if they could? Women resist everywhere, all the time. They have throughout history. And we do ourselves a disservice to not acknowledge that and honor it, you know? For every woman who sells out, you know, for comfort or to save her own skin. There have been women that haven't. There have been women who have been willing to die for their own integrity, you know. I guess the purpose of this is to like think about, you know, the fact that we are freer than we think. And a lot of what's going on, and specifically why we gotta read our Mary daily, you know, is we have to undo this stuff, the conditioning in our head that makes us think we are unfree. If you want to be free, act free. That's always been the case. It does not mean that society will respond to you in the way you want, but freedom isn't free and freedom isn't easy. That's the other thing of it. Like, freedom is not without its consequence. And I think people want to have, specifically like in this situation, they want to have freedom that's easy, but it's never ever been easy and it never will be easy. So keep that in mind. Radicals, specifically, of whatever stripe, get this. And that's what this is about to me, you know. And then going back, like, this isn't a mainstream channel. And mainstream people watching this video aren't going to get it. It's going to go over their fucking heads. Like, they're normies. They're not going to understand why this girl who needs to brush her hair, like, is talking about this crazy shit. They're not going to get it. They're just going to think, like, wow, they're a freak. But this content isn't for the mainstream. It's for radicals. It's for those who think a little bit deeper, a little bit darker, a little bit more, like, in a way that's visionary, in a way that's challenging, in a way that's, like, going somewhere else. So yeah, there's my philosophy video for you, like the basic understanding of like my differences with, you know, mainstream rad femme crap, and like why I diverge from that, and like, you know, specifically why I'm, you know, I've had like women say to me like, you're not a radical feminist because you talk about lib femme choices. Like, well, okay, fuck you, I don't. Like, I don't. Specifically, I do understand that women are coerced into things like prostitution. So, that being said, some women do choose it. Like, and, you know, this is the thing. You cannot deny the fact that, like, while some women are being enslaved, oppressed, tortured, there are women who collaborate with that shit and support it and will put a pretty face on it because they want that status within male society. Okay? Those women do not deserve your solidarity, and those women do not. You should never extend solidarity to somebody who's going to stab you in the back. Just, we need to think, I guess I'm going to close this. You need to think critically if you are thinking about, you know, in terms of politics and, like, you know, specifically trying to change the world, revolution, all of that stuff. You need to think critically about how you're going to act in those situations, all right? If you're in a situation where you're at war, right, specifically, which a lot of women feel that we are at war with men, if that is the case, you do not fucking extend solidarity to their collaborators. You don't do that. You know, in a situation of war, like with actual artillery and shit, collaborators are often put to death, okay? It's that serious. So, like, treat it seriously. Think critically about it. You can extend sympathy, I guess, because nobody deserves to be treated badly, but you really need to think about where your energy is going. Like I said, there's a woman in my building I can't do anything for, really. I mean, what can I do? There are women on your block, in your buildings, where you live, that need help. Why is your energy going to women who have more options and ability to help themselves than you do? Like, it's a little insane. And it's not really radical. Radical should be focusing on the marginalized, the disenfranchised, the oppressed, those with few options, who still fucking resist, even with few options, who say no, even when they have no options, or seemingly no options, who just say, you know what, this isn't cool, what's going on. Because those people exist, those women specifically exist, and they matter, and they're fucking cool. So yeah, that's my philosophy for the day. I hope you got something out of it. I'm sure you did. And I hope it lets you know where I'm coming from as a feminist. Anyway, and a millennial. Because, you know, Harry Potter and all of that. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe, like, and rate the video, etc. Check out the links in the low bar, all of that. And peace out, YouTubers.